circle pulls towards them. It's almost like they've got some kind of a circle magnet in their pockets, man. It's a hard shift towards the north, where Gun Gaming will have the safest position possible. Of course, Headhunters also have a decent enough position. I definitely can't say it's as good as Gun Gaming. It's just a rock and a little bit of a cover from the monster truck, but it's better than nothing. And they're towards the northernmost part of the circle, so there's really only one team that can harm them, unless everybody else has the bright idea of rotating around the edges and taking the northern side. Then Headhunters will be in deep trouble.
Yeah, Headhunters. They're also clustered right now. One big utility just might get them in a big trouble. But 4 AM default, he finds one more knock onto Noxious. So GW Manish is not in a comfortable spot for the time being. Noxious is completely eliminated. X-Divine, he has a grenade launcher though. The question is, how will he use it? For him to use it, he needs to climb in closer towards Team GG right now. Let's see how they manage to do that. For the time being, they have the good positioning. They're holding out the good space of the map. But it's going to be difficult to control this area once the circle closes in. All the rest of the lobby, closes towards Snowfall, because it's spread out for the time being, and where they have the comfort, space of playing in and around that area. Where you said that it's not a plain surface, it's a surface where GG Instinct has the higher ground, where they just might, tap that pressure in and get eliminated.
Olympians, meanwhile, they start taking shots as well. 4 AM tried to shoot down DW, but there's just way too many people shooting at Olympians. In fact, the last player doesn't even go down to any one particular team. He just dies to the zone. Now Aura Gaming in a lot of trouble. They already lost Satyam. Huzaifa has way too much pressure. Both Blackbirds and Headhunters shooting down Aura Gaming. They get peppered with lead, and they have been eliminated as well.
This is the 5th circle, Cribs, and imagine that in the 5th circle itself, we are left out with the top 5 teams. So many fights have happened in the first 3 phases that we are up to this. Now Headhunters, they will definitely have the space to play with, and they and Gyan Gaming will maximum try to control these positionings. Blackbirds, how will they creep in? They're using the glue walls to close in the distance. The melters being used. Radhe Thakur's brain game is going to come in handy. So is X-Divine's M79. How will that come in? But he gets the first one to be taken out by Radhe Thakur's grenade. Now, Mokiria and Somi, look at him. He dashed in, but Somi gets one man. That was X-Divine. Vincent is still alive. He has that M79. Roshan jumps in, but Mokiria and Radhe Thakur have creeped in. The numbers advantage is still there for Headhunters. How will they complete this fight, Cribs?
I don't think they can. Headhunters have to find Mokria instantly and make sure they do not take any more damage. Luckily, nobody goes down in this fight, because this battle isn't over. The moment they deal with one team, another one will pounce upon them. GW Manish also need to make their move inside, but luckily they don't have as many numbers, so they can be sneaky beaky like. Now it's just up to Gyan Gaming. It's finally time that they get off their high horse, abandon that compound, and get out into the open and fight Headhunters. Aladdin, though, he's being very sneaky and hoping that nobody will spot him, but Shubo does. No amount of magic carpets will save him this time. It's now time for the final battle. 4 versus 4. Arsh dives inside and gets the first knock onto a roop, just like he always delivers. Consistent with the shotgun. X-Divine blows apart Insane, and that grenade launcher continues to deliver death at demand. It's all up to Ninja, down to 1 HP, and Arsh puts the final nail in the coffin. This guy just cannot be stopped, and he's been on a roll with that M590 all day long.
Here comes the perfect ending for Team Headhunters. They have been looking for, Cribs. The booyah which they needed. They had everything in their kitty. They didn't have that booyah. Now that is added, which will give them a more stronger position in the overall standings with that 43 points which they already had. But the way they controlled that positioning, we thought that it's going to be Gyan Gaming all over it. But they were the ones who dethroned them and made sure they not only control that position, they also control rest of the teams pushing. I think Gyan Gaming missed the trick over there when Blackbirds were pushing. They should have pushed in and maybe utilize the utilities to flush them out.
I agree. This is exactly the difference between Gyan Gaming and GG Instinct. If this was GG Instinct holding that compound, they would have gotten out of there and third party the fight between Headhunters and Blackbirds. Because this is the decisive battle, right? This is the battle that determines who's going to win the game. Once Headhunters deal with this, and now that they've got all four of their players alive, they don't even need to heal, they don't even need to reset before the next battle. They have all the luxury in the world to initiate a fight on their own terms. And when they initiate the battle between, on their own terms, there's no stopping them. I mean, look at how easily Arch was able to get the first blood and the last knock, both of them. And despite getting the booyah, somehow it's Gyan Gaming who still come out on top by just 1 point. All thanks to them getting 8 eliminations in the first circle itself and continuing that momentum by getting 15 throughout the rest of the game.
You know, Crips, I love the journey DW Live has made. First game, the very first game for Group D, they ended up with 0 points. From there till now, they have, ensured that they get double-digit markers in every single game. And the way they are showing confidence, I feel no other team or no other underdog team has, been able to do that or portray that in Group D is where I'm loving it, because we have seen so many good talents in all these previous 3 days in Group A, B, and C. And this is another team who are just, putting or maybe knocking the doors and asking for the attention, which definitely we should give. Along the lines, I think Blackbirds also managed to position themselves, and 4am Esports, they also got some good points because the top heavy teams was eliminated pretty early in the game.
Amazing stuff. But let's take a look at the standings, because Godlike Esports, despite not being anywhere close to winning this game, are still way ahead of the competition with 74 points. Headhunters with that booyah finally make that massive jump and get up to the second spot, having 66 total points. GG Instinct, despite getting 2 booyahs served to them on a silver platter, have only 60 points to their name, with Gyan Gaming coming in closely behind them, just 1 point separating the two. GW Manish also very consistent with the placement points. They've got the most placement points in the entire lobby. They have 31 placement points, which gets them at a total of 56. And finally, DW Live also had a decent game this time, which brings them up at 46. At least they're out of the danger zone. But Olympians, they keep slipping. They drop out of the top 5, and now they are at the bottom of the 7th spot. Yeah, that is difficult. I can say the same for Blackbirds and Identicals, because while Blackbirds are no longer in the bottom 3, they are still not out of the danger.
Yeah, exactly. That is where I'm concerned about them, and so is for Aura Esports. 4M Esports, I would say that they had a decent game. They did manage to get 15 points, which will of course help them, in getting that, or maybe the confidence will be back for them. We will move forward towards the most valuable player, where definitely, we saw some amazing performances coming in from HHX Divine, the IGL himself. He took upon the responsibility, and he was the nader as well. We have seen very few roles with nader and the IGL, where it's very difficult on being the first point of contact, or maybe the grenadier, and taking up that IGL responsibility. You have to call as well for your team. You have to manage your team. That becomes a little bit, difficult. But then he did it pretty well with the Nero ability there, and also with Alavero and Beaston. Definitely shows that why he has chosen for that role.
Yeah, 2,300 damage is nothing to be scoffed about. X-Divine has been one of those consistent players that has always delivered when the situation calls for it. And this time, even though he was stuck in between a rock and a hard place, even though he knew that Blackbirds rushing upon his team could mean certain death if Gyan Gaming also decide to leave their compound, he still managed to hold on to his horses and be consistent and deliver when it mattered the most. Let's take a look at the stats of his overall team. So while X-Divine has that Beaston and Anvaro, he's also got Nero equipped with Misha. I don't really see a lot of Misha being used, but since this map relies so heavily on vehicles, maybe that's a good character to bring in just for this particular map. I don't know if he has this equipped on all the other maps or not, so we will find out later. But as you can see, the rest of his team uses the standard composition of Skylar, Oscar, and Chrono, so no real surprises over there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the stats also, doubles up, where I think alongside Divine, where he had 4 elimination points, Roshan contributed with 1. Arsh, being the secondary rusher or maybe the primary rusher for the team, he also got that 4 elimination point for himself. And Vincent, he definitely created too many support positionings with 2 knockouts and 2 elimination points and delivering 2,126 damage. But here comes the most interesting part, because we saw too many fights converging towards Snowfall and Garrison, and look at how Gyan Gaming was hovering around that Snowfall area where the circle ended up. You saw big hardship towards the northern end, or maybe towards extreme northern end to be specific, where Blackbird Esports, you see, they were sitting right there, but still they couldn't manage their position, and where they fall towards Headhunters, where they could not convert that 4v4 battle. I think this is where we were also mentioning the fact that Gyan Gaming could have utilized that third party positioning and could have converted that game ahead of Headhunters.
Yeah, I mean, even if they didn't convert the whole game and get a booyah, their position was so good, they could have at least picked up a couple more elimination points, because nobody's gonna shoot at them. But everybody will be taking pot shots at 4 a.m., at Blackbirds, at Aura Gaming, because all of them are trying to get inside the zone at that exact moment in the 5th circle. So, yeah, those points could have been yours. But it's not like Gyan Gaming need any more points. They're sitting pretty over there in the top 3. So they're good for now. And that circle analysis is mostly to show you one thing. How Headhunters, even though they weren't in the best possible spot, they took the northernmost end of the circle. And when the circle shifts towards the hard north, there's very few teams who will try to enter the zone via that long edge rotation. And one of them was 4 a.m. Somehow 4 a.m. did not harass Headhunters in that position, and that's how they managed to get that booyah. But now let's talk about the next game. It's gonna be Kalahari, and over here we already know that Godlike love going to Refinery, and they are very hard stuck about this one. They do not give up on this spot. So when Blackbirds, DW and Olympians all try to capture Refinery, I don't know if they will actually stick to the spot or move away. I mean, there are plenty of options available. Mammoth, the sub, command post all lie uncontested. There's a potential clash happening between Aura Esports and GW Manish in Stone Ridge. Santa Katrina, Oligarchs saying that they will take it, but I'm not fully keen on believing them. And same with Headhunters going towards Bayfront. I have a feeling that they might even go towards Confinement and Council Hall and then land up in Bayfront.
Probably there is a possibility of a lot more things happening, and a lot more depends on the plane path as well. Kalahari, we have seen one of the maps where high-paced action has happened because of the verticality element crypts, and looking at the fact that a lot more bottom-headed teams right now are struggling. Oligarchs still not able to find their momentum with only 2 games left out. The first position teams to qualify from FFC mode this time. The last time when we saw this happening, Crips, it was Car 98 Army. They made it towards the land. It's of course Jutsu Gaming this time, but this is a surprise for Oligarchs. But then our predictions come in, where again, as mentioned, Godlike is going to be an investment which we have safely kept, and they will, I think, give us that return in a longer run. But then comes Olympians. I'm still sticking with them, wanting that performance, because they are literally slipping away in those situations. And as you mentioned, Cribs, GG Instinct, they were getting served with games, but I feel they will pull things back again.
Okay. At least GG Instinct don't need to pull the games back. Olympians certainly do. So for their sake, I hope that your prediction comes true. That being said, though, I've picked up very safe picks this time. Godlike, Gyan Gaming, obvious choices, right? I don't think I need to justify why I picked those two, because they are like the teams to watch out for in the group.
True.
But GW Manish is slightly a risky pick, especially in the map of Kalahari. But the reason I picked them in Kalahari is because at least in this map, they can avoid getting third-partied. At least in this map, they can travel around the way they want to. You can use the vehicles, you can use the grappling hooks, you can basically avoid the third parties as much as you can. And Kalahari is like the one spot where even in the last circle, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like 7 teams alive, because there are plenty of spots to hide, unless it goes to the center area between command post and refinery and that one giant plain open patch of land. Unless it goes to those kind of areas, there should be plenty of spots for teams to take, especially in the last circle. And whenever GW Manish find a nice spot for themselves, whenever they find a nice nook to bury themselves in, it's very hard to get them out of there. And that's why I think in Kalahari of all maps, these guys will have a decent time.
Yeah, definitely we'll see all of this happening on Kalahari, where I think Godlike have always loved this map, right, Crips? You said that they have always holded the refinery position where you can control a lot more parts of Kalahari, but we will see everything unfolding on this map of Kalahari. This is the second last game for today for Group D. Things are getting pretty serious for Group of Destruction, Crips.
Let's take off. We go from the sub all the way towards the shrines, and this plane path will go from south to north. You've got DW dropping directly down at the sub. GW Manish heading towards Stone Ridge with no contestant in sight. Mammoth occupied by Olympians. Again, no contestant over there. There is Amin though, who's split dropping away from his team, so he might just clash against Arup from Gyan Gaming. That being said though, Gyan Gaming, nobody will bother them in the maze. But in Refinery, Aura Gaming are brave enough to challenge Godlike in Refinery. I thought Aura Gaming said that they would go to Stone Ridge, but here they are. And it's the 1v1. Arup draws first blood onto Amin, and nobody else from Olympians is close enough to get the revenge.
Mind Gaming won't mind this, right, Crips? They wanted these kind of eliminations, but Olympians, as we mentioned, their positioning is not very convincing right now. Though you would still have that new revival meta where the 180 seconds, can be utilized to trigger, even if you're not near a vending machine or that recall tower. But still, you need that momentum in your favor. Where Godlike Esports in a situation with Aura Gaming, they have openly challenged this team, but Yogi is pretty not happy with this kind of situation. He, with that Max 7, takes down Legend. Will he confirm him? He drops down. He found Satyam. Information will be relayed. For the time being, he's alone. Yogi needs support. Nobita, I think he's running away. Maybe Yogi will be the one who will play that sacrificial role because he can be brought back again.
Yeah, somehow Aura Gaming have decided to lock horns with the most dangerous team in the lobby, and they are coming out swinging. Marco gets rest. But will Yogi survive this encounter? Because he is getting chased pretty hard. Climbs back up, but here is Zypha ready to welcome him again. Yogi with the VSK cannot land the shots up close. But hold up, Godlike are in even more trouble. Somehow Gyan Gaming are taking shots at them. And now even Olympians are fighting against Nobita. What is going on? Why are Godlike Esports fighting 3 teams at once?
I don't know about that. Have they taken a split drop? Because, they clearly showcased that Yogi wanted to play that sacrificial role in Refinery, whereas in Nobita ran away using that launch pad. The objective was to give their players revive. But we will talk about that later because this time it is Blackbird locking horns against Oligarchs. Oligarchs, this is the team who needs points desperately. The plushie being connected onto Brave's face because deal a lot of damage. This can be a good combination play. The time turner immediately utilized by Brave to at least avoid these situations. There's going inside Santa Katrina. Now Blackbirds, they have stopped for a minute, but I think GW Manish is the ones who have intruded in this fight. Trespassers will be prosecuted, Crips, and this time it is GW Manish.
Yeah, and these trespassers will be shot. No prosecution for them. No taking prisoners. Mokria goes down to Flame. That P90 sprays really well. Somi with that shotgun, not dealing enough damage, but as soon as he steps into that glue wall, he has more than he can handle. At least he gets the knock onto Flame, but there's way too many people in that little corner, and Noxious manages to not only get the trade, but also res his players. Somehow, amidst all of this, they find the luxury to res Flame back up on his feet, and there's no more flames around them. No more heat, which will pressure GW Manish. Even though they've got DW as well as Oligarchs all around them, they are holding on to their dear lives, and they're not even breaking a sweat about it. But will they be able to live this comfortably? Because they're getting surrounded. Even Blackbirds are caught in the crossfire. You've got Brave on the right hand side, Bully as well as Blaze trying to move in from the left hand side, and Jerry has already found Predator. Predator needs to stay alive, but Jerry finds him and pumps his gut full of lead with that M590. I'm sorry, not even the M590. That's the auto shotgun. That's a 1018. A weak. He's got Gokul, and now he's found Brave, and now a weak goes for the chase. Run, Brave boy, run. Your team needs you. The Oligarchs cannot go down like this. Not when they were the ones who took charge, and now they are the ones running away. GW Manish somehow completely unbothered about DW Live's presence. They don't even care that they're present over here. And that's what happens when you're ignoring your opponents. You get two players shot down like that. Bully is shoving people into the lockers and taking their lunch money away, behaving like an actual bully. DW, clean up Santa Katrina.
End up getting 6 eliminations. The fight doesn't stop here, Crib, because Headhunters, they have also entered the vicinity. Look at Santa Katrina. What has happened to this area? Suddenly, so many fights brewing in this corner. You know, just looking at the situation, Headhunters would also want some more elimination points. But, you know, they were a little late to this party. Or maybe they were sitting a little too late to maybe capitalize on those moments, because all the rest of the teams have either run away or have been eliminated, or maybe have recovered their players back in the lobby. Because that's the situation which has turned out to be from Santa Katrina at least. But look at the center of the map. 4 a.m. controlling their spot. Fights are happening right towards the Western Ghats. GG Instincts right now. Swaroop is receiving a lot of shots from Identicals. One more team who needs, or maybe in desperation of elimination points. They have got 4, but they have to be very careful. There is one player from Olympians, and that is Hitman, who is the one who's firing for Olympians for today. He's in a very bad spot with 2 players, Firefist and Mayank. They have spotted him. And also Darshan comes in, Olympians, and Hitman is surrounded, and Firefist finds the pick onto him. He gets eliminated. Olympians once again are falling wherever they're trying to pick fights.
Yeah, the Olympians really not having a great time over here. But I can say there's one team who's having a much worse time than them, and that's Aura Gaming, because they're getting hunted not only by GG Instinct, but also by Godlike Esports. Legend was running away towards the west, hoping to dodge the members of GG Instinct, but he ran straight into the Godlike camp, and now he's kind of trapped over here. The glue wall finally goes down, and so does the team. Gyan Gaming as well as Aura Esports are the first 2 teams to bite the dust. But GG Instinct have lost Patlu somehow. I believe it's Godlike Esports taking pot shots from afar. That being said though, it should be fairly easy to revive Patlu. It isn't that much of an inconvenience. Oh no, he goes down again. This time to a skill. You wouldn't have expected that. But again, like I said, GG Instinct, no reason to sweat, no reason to worry just yet. They have some suppressive fire being directed in the direction of Godlike Esports, and that should repel away Godlike, keeping GG Instinct safe for now. The zone also doesn't matter all that much, because it's just a second circle. They can tank this damage, and they've got the UAV to move ahead and get information. Meanwhile, in command post, you've got Olympians taking charge. 7 eliminations for them this time, Auto. Last time we saw a team do something similar, they had like 8 points in the first circle. This time Olympians have 7 points, but like just at the starting of the second circle, you know? So it's almost at the same pace as GG Instinct from last game.
Yep, and they also have the control of command posts. So usually command posts in Refinery are considered to be the most controlling areas of Refinery. And very unlike that, Godlike has given up that position. And credit has to be given to a team like Aura Esports, who initiated the fight against them. And they could not win the fight. And again, it was all over the place. Whenever I think we have planted something, have always turned out to be opposite in Group D, where we thought that Godlike, who just might end up dominating this map, have just not been able to do that, along the lines where the circle have now shifted towards the Western Ghats, and where Foundation just might be the place where the circle is going to end, just like what happened in the last map, Cribs. But we still have to wait for a few more. This is where the consolidation phase begins for these teams. Teams a little bit calmer in these situations, but DW Live Blaze just might find Aladdin. And oh my goodness, that was a pretty good shot being connected onto Blaze.
Yeah, that was a really good one. Aladdin rubs the magic lamp and pulls out a rabbit out of the hat. Jerry just about to get over the edge, and hopefully he should have dipped down so that he would have been safe, but he gets shot. At least Bully is able to find all the remaining stragglers inside of Council Hall, so he can clear up the space for Jerry and get the res onto him before GW Manish arrives on scene. But GW Manish are not actually coming over here. They're gonna get into their cars and just move to the zone. It is quite a trek to the zone, so they better get a head start here.
Witness have been triggered onto DW. Oh, actually, it is DW who have triggered against Headhunters Arsh. So definitely the position of that player is at least revealed if they're not going or not interested on fighting with headhunters for the time being. For 2 minutes, his position will of course be revealed. Let's see how he survives for the time being. But Noxious finds Claus, and Claus being eliminated and immediately brought back into the lobby as well. I mean, he was just given a reset, I feel, and immediately he will come back and rewrite the script with his team. But GW Manish, as we were speaking about, the positionings of teams, because this is the second last game, everybody needs to understand the objective that we are left out with only 9 spots. No more teams other than them are going to qualify for the next week. So this is going to be very interesting, and as expected, Crips, it has gone towards Foundation. Teams have a bigger problem to solve right now because Identicals are holding the spot, and Identicals holding that spot, which will mean that they need to convert this game.
Yeah. Now, Identicals have the center of the attention over here in Foundation, but there's plenty of buildings in Foundation which are still up for grabs, so I wouldn't be surprised if teams like Blackbirds and Godlike start moving in towards Foundation already to get a central spot. Gun Gaming obviously will avoid that like the plague. They're going to stick to the edge of the circle because it's a hard shift towards the northwestern side. They will continue staying towards the edge because it's worked for them really well in the past. Now, here's what happens when you have a hard shift. You've got teams on the edge of the circle who will stick to it while they rotate inside. That means teams like Olympians and DW Live will all go through the edge of the circle and go through Godlike Esports in order to get inside the circle. Similarly, teams like Oligarchs will also use the northern edge of the circle where they will end up clashing with GW Manish simply because nobody wants to take a straight line into the center of the circle. They want to all go around the edges of the circle. And that's just how the BR herd mentality works. And now, even though they didn't want to fight anyone, Godlike Esports find themselves locked in a battle against Olympians. Ooh, nice shot. Ego gets the shot onto Amin, but there is a trade. And instantly, the rest from Godlike Esports comes through. They even eliminate Gopu with a skill. Manish kind of trapped over here. Pops the Chrono Shield, hoping that it will help him, but to no avail. Godlike Esports have a very clean execution onto this fight. I must say, I was expecting more casualties from Godlike over here.
Yep. But then the higher ground positioning of Yogi and Eco helped them. They found the first openings from those positionings, but this is Oligarchs fighting against GW Manish. They are looking much more comfortable than them. Ooh, finally I see stealth bites being utilized, right, Crips? This is the second time I have seen it live being used in TaZe Free Fire Max India Cup 2026 Spring. But where is he flanking is the question. Wait, Aladdin gets taken out by the play zone. That's not, I think, he planned. But Headhunters, they are planning for the fight. They have to be pretty careful. They have always managed to do it pretty in a smarter fashion than the other teams. They have Identicals, which will mean that they are here towards Foundation. This is literally the pinpoint center of the circle right now. They have to deal with 4 AM, who are trying hard to not, land up in the bottom 3, Crips. Right now, GW Manish are also along the lines playing towards the edge there, but crossing that little strip of river is going to be very difficult because Identicals are not going to allow that. But, leave Identicals. It's GG Instinct who are creating the problems for GW Manish.
Yeah, but GG Instinct at least will not abandon their spot to get inside this place. 4 AM have all intentions to leave that spot and somehow get to a safer spot, but I don't think they have the luxury of doing so. Oligarchs bite the dust, nobody to save them. Headhunters had a very good spot to themselves, but now that the circle is shifting away from Foundation, they have to abandon their compounds and get into a much safer spot. Unfortunately, no safe spots exist for default because 4 AM will be eliminated. Headhunters now have their next target. They need to take Identicals out of the equation if they want to get inside the circle. And they need to do it before Blackbirds arrive on the scene. Or worse, if Blackbirds go in towards Godlike, then Headhunters will be very happy about it. But if they don't, then this is going to be a very, very difficult fight to handle. Hold on though. Headhunters take the decision of going further north. They stick to the edge of the circle and avoid that fight. But Blackbirds continue to move in towards the center, straight into Identical's crosshairs. And Bayank lands the first shot with that Trogon. Mayank goes outside to confirm that elimination on Radhe Thakur. But now Godlike Esports want to get involved and they're pummeling this entire place with nades. They want to level it clean. Mokria right into the crosshairs of Sohail, and Darshan goes down indeed. But Predator, both these guys lose their lives to a skill, and Arsh once again is the Grim Reaper with the M590. Nobody can stand up against his shotgun. How on earth has he won this fight for Headhunters? I will never know. He eliminated 2 teams in the process, Blackbirds being one of them, and Roshan wants to continue the assault. He takes down one more player of Godlike Esports. Even Marco goes down. Somehow, in all of this, GW Manish lose their lives, but Godlike was supposed to win that battle. It was a 2v4, and now it's turned into a 1v4. Godlike have just eco left. They thought that they would be able to beat Headhunters, but that is absolutely not the case. Headhunters on the trot. They want to get 2 booyahs in a row, and all they have to do is deal with Godlike first, because the circle will push them away from that cell phone tower. They just need to be careful about GG avoiding these battles. Very, very.
Here comes the Riptide Rhythm, and now this is the positioning Headhunters won't want to be in. GG Instincts right now at this very moment can be the positioning where they can convert this game, but then Headhunters, they are being pummeled by Godlike from the right and also from GG Instinct. They're playing the wraith of both the teams right now. Roshan, he has to survive. How will he though? And both the teams very well completely shatters the hope of Headhunters. Patlu getting eliminated. Yogi is the last one surviving. Tiger has closed in the distance, but Yogi is still there. These isolated fights cannot help GG Instinct right now, but both of them come siding, and obviously this moment is where GG Instinct shines, as we have seen in the past few games, and GG Instincts are the one they converge with the Booyah Crips.
3 booyahs in a single day, and Deja Vu strikes again. GG Instinct avoid all the battles by staying towards the edge of the zone throughout that final circle. And while you've got teams like Godlike, Headhunters, Identicals, and GW Manish all beating 7 shit, GG Instinct sit in a corner with a bucket of popcorn and watch the action unfold. And when the moment is right, they will get out of their hiding holes and take the booyah for themselves. And they've done this 3 times today, man. This is the 3rd time they've done this one. And this formula just works. There's no need to change something that's not broken.
GG Instinct always find themselves in the correct spot, in the correct time, at the correct moment. And, Headhunters forgot that this is not Gyan Gaming. This is GG Instinct that they're dealing with. Last time, it was Gyan Gaming who were fighting against them. And that time, they converted that game. So, and you also mentioned the fact that, if that would have been GG Instinct, they could have, tapped on or maybe pressured Headhunters while they were fighting Blackbird. At this time, it was, of course, the likes of Godlike who they were fighting, and Godlike and both along with GG Instinct were literally firing all cylinders against them, and Headhunters could not survive it.
Yeah, Headhunters, I did not expect them to survive in the first place, right? There's only one guy who keeps them alive in these kind of situations. It is Arsh. Oh my god, that shotgun is just it's so good. I want to see that replay.
Yeah.
No, wait, show it from a little before. Yeah, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see what Arsh does over here, because you see, Arsh was the one who was responsible for eliminating most of the Godlike members. It was a nice 3v4 battle where Godlike Esports had numbers advantage, and then Arsh comes and neutralizes everything, takes down 2 Godlike members and turns it in his favor. Unfortunately, he doesn't survive up until the last moment, which is why Headhunters go down much before Godlike do. And then all that GG Instinct have to do is win that 2v4 battle where they have the advantage, they have the position and the numbers. They don't give Godlike any chance to heal up and get prepared for the final battle. But despite all their best efforts, despite the booyah, it's Godlike who still come out on top. 18 eliminations with 27 points. Godlike Esports prove once and for all that staying safe and playing for the booyah doesn't always get you the top spot. I mean, if GG Instinct continue this sort of performance in the grand finals if they make it over there. And in the champion-rich condition, if GG Instinct pull off booyahs like these, then they have a chance of winning over Godlike. But for the time being, firepower trumps above everything else. Godlike Esports on top, followed by GG Instinct at 23 points. Headhunters at 19. You've got GW Manish closely following them at 18 points. Somehow, even in a chaotic situation, Identicals had a decent game with 15 points. And DW Live with 11. They were doing really well in the mid-game, man. But then...
Yeah, definitely, but it is GG Instinct Swaroop with the 2 elimination points. He is the most valuable player for the time being. I mean, the way he handled the pressure for GG Instinct and the way he was delivering shots with the ACAT just shows that, he created value for his team and also for himself. With 7 assists, it also shows that the amount of knockouts he would have produced inside the game. He also had the ability of Oscar to help himself with the speed, and Nikita's reload speed ability is also there. So definitely these combination helps his play style, and J-Beebs of course gives him that EP advantage alongside Joseph's movement speed. So definitely all these things and elements which he has chosen to go inside the game with have given his team and also himself the chance of creating value, right, Trips, at this very moment.
Absolutely. I mean, he's one of those rare guys who uses the Dreki. We've seen very few people use this, but that ACAT in the hands of Swaroop is an absolute menace. Now let's take a look at the rest of his teams, and then along with the Malvado, so he's the designated Grenadier. They've got 2 people running the Susi, so that basically means they'll be farming a lot more money than usual, which allows them to revive their players also more frequently. You've got Tiger running the Moro Marco Skylar combination, typical of a sniper. You've got Power using a Koda. Again, this is one of those characters that we haven't seen much.
Yep.
All that frontal power, it probably will help him rush in, but it's not the best character combination that we've seen so far. I think the only person with a very normal character composition over here has to be Tiger, right? Because
correct.
Even though Swaroop has Oscar, he's got Dreki. I mean, who uses Dreki? It's like the 3rd most used pet in the game, but even then, it's so less frequently used. Like most of the time, people use R1.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he might have had a different plan, but then it worked out all in the end, right, Crips? They have the ultimate or satisfactory result as the Booyah. They have the stats going in their favor, but though Godlike, again, as you mentioned, got the maximum number of elimination points, because of which they ended up being on top in the match standings. But now comes the circle analysis once again, Crips. What has happened with the circle? It's again constantly shifting towards that extreme northwestern side where teams are finding it very difficult while rotating, right? We saw too many teams fighting towards that corner where Oligarchs, even GG Instinct, they did not move an inch from that positioning. They had that corner right from the word go. Identicals were the ones from the word, I think, from the point where Foundation was considered to be the center of the circle. They were there, but they were flushed out. Headhunters came in. They were also not given the chance. Godlike was there. They were also not given the chance as well. And so does Olympians as well, as we saw how Olympians were, flushed out by the pressure of Headhunters, and also Godlike came in swinging, and Godlike showcased that they are a team to deal with pressure.
Godlike definitely know how to deal with pressure, and even if they don't win the Booyah, they got more than enough eliminations in that final 2 circles because they were in the right place at the right time, and they can really juggle their targets really well, especially when you've got hard hitters like Yogi, as well as all the other close range powerhouses that Godlike Esports have. They can deal with their opponents very quickly, and they don't drag the fights on for very long, which allows them the luxury of resetting. Now, time for the hard reset, the hardest reset of them all, actually, as we head towards the final game of the day on Bermuda. Godlike Esports claim peak for themselves, and I know they probably won't deviate away from it. That being said, though, I think this might be the only group that contests the Northwestern region this hard. I mean, in groups A, B, and C, we haven't really seen a lot of fights in Observatory, Graveyard, and Bullseye regions.
Correct. I mean, I agree with you, Crips, and this time that area is going to be a lot more busier than the other groups you mentioned, but definitely a fight worth watching if that is happening, because there is Olympians, there is Blackbirds, there is Oligarchs as well. All those teams have not secured their position yet, and Godlike Esports will be definitely sitting comfortably towards peak if they are being challenged as they were in Refinery by Aura Esports. Aura Esports, if they want to qualify, they need more than that, because they, for a fact that they could not have delivered points or maybe engage into situations where they could have converted those eliminations. That is where I think they have lacked a lot. And even the survival game, even though they have survived for a bit in the mid game, they have lost their track. That's where the execution is going to come in this game. They need a big game, maybe a 30-pointer. Otherwise, it's going to be good night for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last game for all of these teams in the bottom three,
True.
so they really need to pull up their stocks and step up their game. That being said, though, I still think that the team that will win this game is gonna be either Headhunters or Gyan Gaming again. Actually, I should have picked GG Instant instead of Gyan Gaming, because I mean, 3 booyahs, man.
Correct,
Come on, now
correct,
they've proven that they can manage real estate really well, and in Bermuda, that's the most important skill. So I kind of regret my Gyan Gaming pick. Should have gone with GG Instinct, but again, after that, I've picked Headhunters, Godlike. Those are very safe picks, and I think you've also picked the same.
Correct.
So yeah, it's quite obvious as to who the casters think will win this game. Even if Godlike don't win the game outright, they will still be at the tabletop because of their elimination power. And because of this, the disparity between the top 3 teams and the bottom 3 teams just keeps on growing so much.
Correct. I agree with you, Crips, because the way things have panned out for Godlike, even though they're not getting that booyah, this might be a concern while they land up in a grand final situation, but not right now, because now the condition is to just be inside that top 9 spot, which will get you through towards that week 2, and you will end up being on the top 36 teams. But for a team like a Blackbird or an Oligarch or maybe an Identical, you need a booyah, or else you need a match with good amount of eliminations where you just might find yourself in a spot of bother, which you do not want to end up with, because everybody is expecting, considering what Radha Thakur fans need, and he has always entertained us, as we have mentioned that earlier in the broadcast. But things just might go down south. We will witness it. This time it's Bermuda. It's the most default map where players start with in Free Fire Max, and this is where things might just get spiced up. We will witness it. Let's jump straight into it, and we will see what things are gonna be planned here.
Last game of the week, ladies and gentlemen. It's Group of Destruction. And just one game stands between these teams' dreams to enter the week 2 of group stage, or their dreams being shattered. So far, we have seen the invited teams and the city qualifier teams do really, really well for themselves. The only teams who have been eliminated so far were the ones who entered from the FFC mode. But that might change today if Blackbirds don't manage to get outside the bottom 3. This time, Blackbirds might just even have an early fight on their hands, because Oligarchs are landing right next to them. GW Manusha of Sentosa uncontested, GG Instinct in Cape Town, no problem. You got Headhunters in Porchenock. They might have an early skirmish against 4 AM, but it won't be the kind of skirmish that will completely eliminate a team. Same with Olympians, uncontested in Clock Tower, no problem over there. Godlike alone in Peak. GG in Bhima Sakti Strip, again, no problems. Are there even going to be any early game battles, or is this going to be a very quiet map?
Wow. I mean, this was not expected, considering the fact this is going to be the last game, right, Crips? Teams have decided to play it pretty slow and watchful, which they should have done probably in the first game of Group D, which was, I think, berserk in the way of action, or in the fashion of action, I would say. But then teams will obviously eventually find their way of fighting in this game. Right now, it looks like it's going to be Identicals who have closed in the distance a little bit towards Aura Esports, where Sohail and Mayank are the ones. But look at Godlike, they somehow managed to find themselves in the middle of action in every single map. Now this time it is Ninja who has started things pretty well. He gets the first pick. But look at the shots of Mini Uzi from Marco. He handles that situation, but immediately gets taken out. The rest of the members from Godlike Esports needs to support Marco right now. Otherwise, he just might get eliminated. Riptide Rhythm being used as well. But Gyan Gaming, they are okayish because their one player is in a different corner of this map where they will be surviving because, again, they were the only 3 members who were converging in this fight.
Yeah, but at least Gyan Gaming don't need the points. Even if Ninja doesn't survive over here and he gets eliminated, it's not the end of the world for Gyan Gaming. I mean, they are definitely going to qualify, right? Like, there's no way that they're in danger. So all that they need to do is make a statement over here and farm up as many points as possible so that they can get used to the competition next week. So Ninja has plenty of spots to revive his fallen teammates. There's more than enough real estate available. I need to be a little concerned about Identicals though, because take a look at this. Mayank has just used his R1 Denoculars, but they're all so spread out that they have basically no trade potential in case a fight breaks out over here. And exactly what I suspected. Darshan goes down. No way to avenge him. Nobody to back him up. And people are taking away these frags like it's anything. Godlike Esports are heading towards them with all their strength. Sohail and Mayank are so far away from each other they basically can't help. At least Ninja manages to land the shot onto Yogi. In all this chaos, the last member of Gyan Gaming has been able to find a couple of frags for himself, and with this hopefully even get some money so that he can get the res onto his fallen teammates. But Iko already uses the machine in Katluistwa, so that machine is no longer up for grabs for anybody else. Aura Gaming though, this could be a detrimental fight for them. GG Instinct have been eliminated. Wait, how? Already? I mean, we didn't even see that. But then again, we kind of knew that Ninja was like the last guy for them, so it's fine if he dies, and they don't need the points, so I guess it's one of those maps where everybody else can have a chance of getting a booyah. 3 booyahs are more than enough for them. But Aura Esports now, these guys are in grave danger. They desperately need those points because they're somewhat at the bottom of the table. And the same goes for Blackbirds. For both these teams, this could be a very, very important fight.
Exactly, and both the teams need to win this, and they cannot, afford to lose any fights in this map, and they need to survive and also get those elimination points. And collecting them is going to be their primary concern right now. Look at Mokria and Somi; they're ready with the grenades, and they're just wanting to find the timing right now. Yuvraj definitely have used up the vehicle. I think they want to create a different angle. You have to understand the fact that the circle is also coming in. This is still the first circle. So we have seen so many teams fighting outside the circle in the second phase or the third phase. So that's not going to be the primary concern. They need to break out the drone. The information is being relayed right now. Huzaifa at this very position. He's waiting for Somi's head. But look at Satyam and Yuvraj. They have gone on for a big flank. The question is Predator watching them? He has the bigger position. He has the higher ground where he can, I think, monitor both the players, but if he gets taken out, I think their eyes will be taken off, and that's where Blackbirds can be in a bigger trouble.
Yeah, so there is a massive responsibility on the shoulders of Predator, but Radhathakar takes the lead himself. Here comes Yuvraj. Oh my god, he dives way ahead of Satyam. This could have been dangerous if he did not get traded out in time, but the cocoon of blue walls protects him. And now you've got Somi chasing Yuvraj, but Legend comes in from behind and gets the shot onto him. And Legend tries to confirm Mokria as well. Somi doesn't have time to switch targets. He gets taken down by Yuvraj. And Radhathakar puts up one glue wall, hoping to save Mokria, but he realizes that is just way too risky. It's better to fall back over here. And while Radhathakar will run away, Predator will try to cover him. But I think it's better that Predator doesn't do anything. It's better that he just stays on his high ground and keeps himself alive while Radhathakar goes into the vending machine and gets the res onto 2 of his teammates. It's once again a 4v3, and all those efforts of Radhathakar will go in vain as Legend finds him, turning it back into a 3v3 yet again. And Predator, they encroach upon his territory. He's become the prey now because you've got Aura Gaming climbing up on that crane and taking down every single Blackbirds member. The other 2 players who were just revived, they will probably have to land somewhere else.
Ooh, default. Look at him. He has the proper positioning, but he misses one of those shots which he should have connected at this level. To be specific, he connects onto Gopu but did not find the knock. Now the positionings are pretty clear. 4 AM. They are also in very desperation. They need these fights to be in their favor. So does Olympians. Manish and Gopu holding out this very angle, but default, how did he get taken out? Nobita from nowhere has taken him down. Godlike, as I mentioned in the very first game where I came in Crips, that if nothing is happening, they are the ones who's creating them. You remember their positioning, they were dropped towards peak, they came in towards Cthulhu's team to create a fight. Now you can imagine what that team is trying, right? You know, they did not prove anything because they have the points to qualify, but still, it's godlike. But now 4 a.m., Tanish, he uses the Oscar ability to run away, but then he needs to understand there's one more team towards the backlines, it's Oligarchs. But now, this is a place where they have utilized the momentum and the space have been created by Olympians. Gopu goes out, but he has to be revived. The time turner utilized for the advantage. But Oligarchs, can they create some pressure to Olympians? Yes, they are.
Yeah. But unfortunately, all the pressure that Oligarchs are putting onto Olympians doesn't net them anything. All the frags are being stolen away by 4 a.m. And look at Manish, that's a very risky revive technique. He tries to get the res onto Gopu through that brick wall. And somehow they both stay alive. Puneet cannot finish them off. That was a risky maneuver, but it was worth it.
Yeah. I mean, why did I still cannot understand what Tanish wanted to do. He wanted to hide from Oligarchs, or he wanted to, you know, plan something for Olympians. But Gopu, with that woodpecker
nice
shot
shot
onto Puneet, he will, of course, get that advantage. Now, Harsh also receiving a lot of damage. Looks like Olympians have made their move and definitely will get the better of them. With an elimination coming in, 6 elimination points for Olympians. And again, they have found themselves their elimination point scripts, which we saw in the last game. Default is sitting in silently with the tactical market on. He knows that he needs to revive his teammates. But we're talking about Olympians. The last time we saw them in a similar kind of situation, they could not control the game, or maybe they could not end up the game with a booyah.
Hey, at least Olympians have recovered from that one. At one point, they were getting pressured by 2 different teams, and now they've managed to not only get all of the players back online, but also almost eliminate 4 a.m. because they are down to their last player. And 4 a.m. won't be having the opportunity to climb down from that factory rooftop and then go towards any of these vending machines or recall towers to get their players back up. Default will have to be extremely sneaky if he wants to get the players rest.
But like, Godlike was eliminated. I mean, this was a little unexpected. I mean, by the way, everything is turning out in this map with no fights happening, no clashes being taken, and also GG Instincts were the first one to be eliminated, where, you know, we were watching a different fight between Aura Esports and Blackbirds. Now, this time it is Godlike who's being eliminated. A lot of mixed energies in this map. Let's see how this ends up, right? Because a lot of teams needs this game to turn into their favor, but look at Gyan Gaming. They put in some blue walls, wanting to take down Aura Esports. Insane. He is in a cocoon. He's stuck. He needs to move around at least so that he can create value. He has that M590 in his hand. He needs that first point of contact. Who will it be is the question. Satyam gets taken out. Now comes Shubo's dash, and he gets one more. He gets inside the time turner, revives his teammate, and also will heal himself up. Arup comes in for the survive, but there's Yuvraj who's waiting. Yuvraj is the last man surviving. He gets taken out, and so does Aura Esports. A pretty simple, you know, execution coming in from Gyan Gaming. Retaliation was shown by Aura Esports, but it was not that valiant enough. They could stop Gyan Gaming.
Amazing stuff from Gyan Gaming as they continue to plunder and plow through every team. Aura Esports out, and this could very well be the end of the road for them because they desperately needed those elimination points. So Aura Esports is out. Somehow Godlike Esports was also eliminated by Gyan Gaming in this very same spot. So that means by the time GG were done eliminating Godlike, you had Aura Esports come into third party. But because Aura Esports was so late, Gyan Gaming had the luxury of resetting, healing themselves, and completely preparing themselves for the battle against Aura Esports. They were very late to third party on this one, and they pay the price for it with their own lives. Gyan Gaming, having eliminated 2 teams, now control that central warehouse on the western side of Bhima Shakti Strip. So they can control that zone, but they will be forced to come back inside the zone eventually. That's not a very big problem because the circle hasn't gone for a hard shift this time. It's a central shift. So all these teams are going to be focusing on their own compounds rather than sticking to the edges. And as we expected, the teams who managed to get the compounds for themselves first will be the ones to get assaulted first. It's Oligarch who are trying to defend onto this L-shaped house, and they use the staircase to get back downstairs against GW Manish. Kingston is the only person down for them, but take a look at this as Arup also continues to pummel down on 4 AM, so that's a different fight happening at the same time. Oligarchs need to wrap up this fight against GW Manish quickly, otherwise they'll get third-partied very, very fast. And somehow they've held their own. They repel away the invaders, and Oligarchs have pushed the last member of GW Manish away from them outside the zone so that he can go ahead and revive someone. Meanwhile, Blackbirds have eliminated 4 AM, so teams are falling like flies over here.
Yep, probably 4M's journey in this year stays FFMIC 2026 spring hasn't ended, but Young Gaming ends up eliminating Blackbirds as well. The question is, will they qualify? But look at Olympians, they're charging in. They want to eliminate Yan Gaming. The melters being utilized. So many melters and utilities and grenades being utilized here. Manish and Gopu charges in insane. Handles things pretty well. Arup and Insane still surviving. Gopu with that Trojan with the glue wall placed in. They are wanting to take him down. Gopu finds him, but he's barely surviving. Here comes Arup. Gopu! He manages to survive. He cleans that victory against Yan Gaming. But the question is,
Headhunters.
he has been taken out by Headhunters. And Olympians, Hitman, because of him, they still survive, Cribs. They survive. This is the survival of the place where they might just end up qualifying for the next round.
Yeah, and they really needed this one. I mean, Olympians on the L-shaped house. They are now in the double balcony house. And they take down Gopu OP. I mean, poor Olympians, man. They had one player surviving who just managed to get the revive onto all of his players. And now all of them are down again before they even make landfall.
Exactly. And Olympians have capitalized onto it. You know, we are still not sure about who are qualifying at what place. This is the most unpredictable group to be, right, Cribs? In a position where nobody have actually solidified their positioning towards that bottom end. This is where things are gonna get spicier. TW Live still survives. So does Oligarchs. But Headhunters have eliminated Olympians at the 5th position. They still got some good amount of elimination points, but we have entered towards the last few ends of this lobby where Headhunters, GW Manish, TW Live and Oligarchs survive. While I was saying that, GW Manish got eliminated, Crips.
And now it's down to the final 3 teams. Headhunters, DW Live and Oligarchs. Oligarchs have done really well to go from the L-shape to the double balcony house, but now they will have to abandon that spot. Meanwhile, Headhunters recognize that they don't have the best spot either, so it's in their best interest to eliminate DW Live as quickly as possible. Oh my god, the Nero plushie actually helps him get the knock. They try to revive them again, but here comes another Nero plushie, this time from Oligarchs. And the barrage of bullets upon DW Live is just insane. Both Headhunters as well as Oligarchs focusing on DW Live. At least Arsh has been able to land that shot onto Bully and get the confirmation as well. But eventually, it will be Oligarchs who land the final blow and get DW Live out of this game. 4 versus 4. Can Headhunters get their second booyah of the day? Because Oligarchs really need to get into this fray and take this day for themselves. Kingston, Django, both of them splitting up. Django might just get isolated over here, and Arsh recognizing the opportunity, instantly pouncing upon him. Kingston desperately trying to cover Django, but there's no more cover to be had, and Arsh will pump his guts full of lead with that shotgun once again. Goku dives in for the trade, Kingston following him right behind, but Roshan covers Arsh, and these shotguns are singing the songs of death. Headhunters get their second booyah.
What a calculation coming in from Headhunters. The way they've created this fight, the execution was picture perfect with those 2 members going ahead. Once again, it was Arsh who draws the first blood in such kind of situation. He's always the first line of defense for this team, and Headhunters has turned out to be such an amazing team and a treat to watch because they have got their second booyah. You know, imagining, at the beginning of this group C have turned out where one team, GG Instinct, gets 3 booyahs in a day, and here comes Headhunters with 2 booyahs. You know, imagine the level of domination these 2 teams have put inside this lobby.
Exactly, man. And at least we can say that GG Instinct were playing very smartly. They were, avoiding the battle up until the very end and then striking when the Iron Assault. That was some smart gameplay. But Headhunters, They do not shy away from a fight. They do not take the smart battle. They will face their demons head on and with their fangs baring. It's so good to see Headhunters in action. The way they managed to juggle their opponents. They've done the same thing in Alpine against Blackbirds and GG.
Correct.
They did the same thing over here against Oligarchs and DW Live.
Unfortunately missing out on the second last map. They were still there in the third positioning. But how does that matter? Because they've ended up with 19 elimination points and the total becomes as 31 Crips. An amazing game to end the group stages, because this looks like the momentum creator or the gear shifter for them to enter week 2. Perfect way to do that. And so does Gyan Gaming. I mean, they also managed to get 17 elimination. These two teams, and alongside, I would have to mention the fact that GG Instant was also delivered. Unfortunately, they missed out on this game. They only got 2, but we have to mention the fact that Oligarchs tried their level best with 22 points. So did Olympians and also GW Manish. All these 3 teams, which still do not know, have solidified their position in the top 9 spot or not.
Oh yeah, that is a bigger question. Because honestly, while Headhunters, Gun Gaming, Oligarchs, these guys were doing really well for themselves, for Olympians, this is an important game. 17 points could make or break their journey in FFMIC. Same with Aura Esports and 4AM. 6 points and 5 points are not nearly enough. So I'm starting to lose hope for them. But let's celebrate the man who has given us some of the most amazing moments this entire day. Arsh has been consistently using that shotgun and being an absolute thorn in the side of his enemies. Somehow his